I don't know about you, but I think I need another drink. There's more Linux, DevOps, and Python coming, and you can't avoid it.
Hello and a really big warm welcome to this presentation from the Urban Penguin. My name is Andrew Mallett, and in today's video we're looking at setting up multi-factor authentication for use with SSH on our Rocky Linux 9.5 system. Now, of course, having RSA key pairs is going to ensure that we have a level of security with something that we have. You can add to it by setting a passphrase. That's going to be something that you know. But you can take it that one step further by also enabling multi-factor authentication, and that's what we're going to be taking a look at today on Rocky Linux 9.5. So look at this, my glorious command line. But what? Not a Linux command line? What's going on? Well, I'm currently on my host system, and we're going to be taking a look at connecting into my Rocky 9.5 system. So I'm using Vagrant, so I can use Vagrant SSH. This uses key-based authentication. So you can see I get the ease of access of being able to get straight in. However, there's no extra level of authentication. And it's this extra level of authentication we want to look at adding in to really make our system secure. Not necessarily with Vagrant, but just understanding that this is going to be a better way for our public access systems. So let's go through and make sure that we've got the epel repository installed. Now, I know I have, but it makes good sense that we run through every step. So this is installed on our Rocky 9.5 system, so we are good to go. And we're going to add in the required elements for multi-factor authentication, and I'm going to install our Google Authenticator package. And we also need to be able to produce a QR code. So we're putting on QR encode and its associated libraries, so QR encode-libs. So just the three packages that we want, we can hit the big enter key and allow Yum to do its very best. It doesn't matter whether you're using Yum or DNF. People often question this, but there is no actual program called DNF. Everything is a symbolic link to DNF-3. So with all of this done, I can then run my Google Authenticator program. This is going to create my secrets file and produce a QR code. But I want my secrets file to be properly secret. So I'm going to put it in my .ssh directory. The .ssh directory is required to be private to the user, so it really makes sense that we add our secrets file in here, especially as it's going to be related to SSH. And I'm just going to call it Google for ease. It normally would be in your home directory and called .google-authenticator. But let's go through. We want to use time-based tokens. We can see the QR code, but just give me a second while I readjust the size of the console. We now take out our phone, find our Google Authenticator app, and then click the plus button and scan the QR code. Once we've scanned the QR code, we're going to be able to see our 6-digit authentication code to enter, and we can go through and enter this. This then confirms that everything is working. So let me just add it in. Now we see the emergency codes. So I should keep this safe somewhere. They're going to be in my secrets file, but if I can't log onto my system, I won't be able to get to my secrets. We just go through and answer yes to the following security questions, keeping this secure. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is create a new group, because perhaps we don't want everyone. Just wait a minute. Let's go through and zoom in on my console again. So I'm going to create a new group, because maybe not everyone needs to use multi-factor authentication. So we can put conditional statements in our SSHD configuration. So if I use sudo and group add, I'm just going to call the group Google for ease of name. And then let's add the Vagrant user to the Google group. So -a uppercase G Google for my user account Vagrant. Remember, Vagrant is the only one who's been set up for MFA so far in any case. Once we've done that, we can move ahead and look at editing our configuration for the SSH daemon. And I like the idea of plug-in files in the SSHD_config.d directory, because we can easily remove the configuration or reverse the configuration if we don't need it. So let me move into etc and SSH, and then our SSHD_config.d, and I'm going to create a new file, and I'm just going to call it 10-mfa.conf. And as I say, I like the idea of these plugin files because it's easy just to reverse your changes by deleting the file if they're not working. So I can go into Insert, and I'm just going to simply paste some information in to save my typing skills. And in my conditional match group, I'm just changing that to Google, as I had Google Authenticator before. We've got our challenge response turned on using PAM, using public key. We've got our match group where we can use public key and keyboard interactive, which is going to be then our MFA. For everybody else, we can just use public key based authentication. So I'm going to go through and save this. With that saved, I'm just opening up a second terminal, because if I restart my SSH daemon, I don't want to lose connectivity if I've got something wrong. So now, moving back to my original console, I can go through and restart the SSH daemon. Everything seems to be good. I still seem to be connected. I'm now going to test that the SSH daemon is working, so SSHD -T with sudo, and that is working, so we've got no problems. And I can go through and search for authentication. And as I go through then and search, these will come back in lowercase, but you can see we've got public key authentication, password authentication, and we have our keyboard interactive authentication, which is our challenge response. So this is all looking good, but of course we can't just configure our SSH daemon. We also need to have PAM working with this as well. So let me go through and change the PAM configuration. And let's move into sudo and vim, looking at the etc and pam.d directory. That's where our authentication program configuration lives, and we want it for the SSH daemon. Now, the first thing is that we don't need to enable our password authentication, so I'm just going to disable or comment out the authentication for passwords. I'm going to move to the end of the file, so I can hit escape and uppercase G, and then a lowercase o to insert a new line. And then I'm just going to put auth and required, so we have to succeed. And we can go through then and put our pam_Google_authenticator.so. So that's our module. And then for the arguments, we're going to change where the secret file is located. So I'm going to have secret equals, and we're going to go through and put our $brace brackets home /.SSH. And remember, I just called the secrets file Google. So let's go through and add this in. I'll say the default location would be the home directory and Google-Authenticator. But let's go through and save this when we're ready. So escape and X to save and exit. And do you know what? I think we're pretty much near to be ready. There's nothing to restart with our SSHD. So let's clear the screen and exit. Then use Vagrant and SSH. And look at this. I'm now getting my verification code prompt. So this is my keyboard interactive. Let's go into the phone, find a code, and you can see now that we're into our system and we've been able to secure SSH with multi-factor authentication.
All that is left to say is thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this, then you are probably sadder than I first thought. For more of this drivel, please subscribe, like and comment to @TheUrbanPenguin.